Well, Rudy with PokemonInvesting.com//Timmy Basement WPM. So we're going to do a Pokemon video today. Don't know when this video will go live. I got a lot of videos backed up in queue here due to all the news and all the board game, card game, tabletop, Pokemons, Yu-Gi-Ohs, Weiss, Rudy buyout industry. So today we're going to go back to the Pokemon world. I'm going to talk about a lot of the mistakes I've made, and I'm going to talk about some additional acquisitions I've been doing quietly on the side. So first things first, as most of you are aware, in 2017, early 2018, I used to sell Pokemon new booster boxes to the patrons and in my stores and, of course, eBay and blah, blah, blah. In about early 2018 into 2017, I started to back away from Pokemon as the Pokemon Go era started to cool off, and I was not happy with the overprinting, and you had a lowering demand and an increased uncertainty and higher print runs and a lot of volatility with the decisions being made at corporate Pokemon headquarters, wherever that is, the giant Pikachu in the sky, I guess. So first thing, we'll come back to that in a minute, and I might even leave that for the second part, but I've been doing a lot more buying of WotC era very old Pokemon boxes. Now, I've shared some of these with you all recently in the past. Obviously, first thing that you guys know I acquired a while back ago is we did this is an original base. This is not a first edition, but we have actual base set Pokemon, English, by the way. Hold on, so let me move some of that over. So we did some things like this. In addition to that, I don't know what the best way to display it is. I don't know, does that look okay? In addition to that, we got some of the second base set. I've been continuing to kind of acquire some of these second or base set too. These are not first edition booster boxes, but quite frankly, I don't know. I just feel like every time I come across them in collections, what happens, you all, is many times when I come across a Magic collection or something large or sealed product investment or something, a lot of times they'll have some old school era, Wizards of the Coast era Pokemon boxes from a long time ago. So many times if the deal or the opportunity and it is actually looks authentic on the seal and, the stamps, the logos, conditions, and all that fun crap, if it looks legitimate, I tend to move forward with it. I think you guys have probably seen some of these. This is actual Team Rocket. This is not a first edition. It's just a regular Team Rocket booster box here. Now, some of these you haven't seen, everybody. Next, we have a very particular old school Pokemon. This is a first edition base set Pokemon box. This is in a phenomenal condition. We have one little old school plastic kind of coming apart there in the corner, a little dot. Other than that, is a phenomenal condition. I believe this is French. Original first edition stamping with the nice Wizards logo. Isn't it crazy to see the circle seal on a Pokemon product and not a Wizards of the Coast Magic the Gathering 90s era? I thought that was kind of crazy to see that from a long time ago. So I thought that was a pretty interesting pickup right there. Hopefully the light is not reflecting and blinding you guys. Okay, just checking. Some other things, I'm not sure if I've shared some of these in the past with you all. We have a old school fossil. Again, Wizards of the Coast, old school 90s era. I call them all 90s era. Not base set, just a regular covered in dust. Just a regular unlimited printing of that. Another one I have not shared with anybody publicly is recently I also acquired this. See how many of you all even know what this is out there. What I thought was interesting about this particular product is a lot of people say, oh, there's no name of the set on here. Well, obviously, in case you guys know, this is the Gym Challenge. This is a first edition Gym Challenge Wizards of the Coast era Pokemon booster box. If you're not really familiar with what this is, honestly, just go on eBay, type in Gym Challenge first edition booster box, and yeah, prepare to have your jaw hit the floor. Ridiculously rare, phenomenal condition, and it's just something that if I'm able to get some of these at a decent price, I don't need 5 cents on the dollar or anything, but as long as I'm able to get slightly below market price when I deal with these large deals, it's attractive enough for me to park some capital into it and kind of diversify away from obviously my 7-figure positions inside of the Mujic, the Yu-Gi-Ohing world. And that's always something that's very important for everybody looking to invest and build your future, is no matter how confident and how happy you are with whatever you're investing in, whether you're obsessed with Tesla stock, you're obsessed with oil company stocks, you only buy tech, or you only do corporate debt. Maybe you're an options derivatives trader. Maybe you only like gold and silver commodity. Maybe you're a crypto guy. Maybe you're an MTG coin collecting. Maybe you're a comic book guy. Maybe you collect stamps. Maybe you collect vintage cars. Maybe you collect real estate. Whatever you're into, there is no perfect collectible, investable category. The key to all this, like we've talked about many times, everyone, is to hit all the categories and spread between them. As a whole collective, and when you merge categories together, that's when you really start to discover some strange long-term, more surprisingly better averaging returns. It's really tough to say unless you've really been through it, because you have to understand, everyone, overall investing doesn't move in straight lines. And see, this is why I'm coming back to Pokemon to talk to you guys about this, because I stopped doing Pokemon videos and really following Pokemon and every new release of Sun and Moon base sets, Sun and Moon, Guardians Rising, Crimson Invasion, all the way back to the Roaring Skies reprint, to the Primal Clash, Ancient Origins, Breakpoint, Breakthrough, Steam Siege, Fate, Collide, XY base, Furious Fists. That was the era. That was the era I started getting really big into Pokemon. Obviously, everybody made fun of me saying, Rudy, you don't know what you're doing, which a lot of those people were right. I did not really do my due diligence and put as much time as I should have before building positions in a lot of these products. So yeah, I eventually ended up backing away from Pokemon. And in the last probably 6 to 12 months, I've just been quietly, the only sealed pretty much Pokemon product I've been dealing in is I've just been kind of buying some vintage era old Pokemon boxes. Honestly, probably the most exciting, I know most people are going to probably point to something like, the original, the first edition base set over here. That's probably going to be what really caught most people's attention, that they like the most. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. Is that reflecting? All right, I know sometimes it flexes back at the camera there. But I mean, I know a lot of you all focus on that, but for me, actually, what I really was the largest fan of and what I was most excited to acquire was actually the Gym Challenge first edition box. That particular box was actually what really got me kind of excited, because I had no idea when I was first approached and the individual selling that particular box, I had no idea that particular set was that rare, especially the first edition printing of that. I had no idea. Honestly, before I started researching and digging and reading some of the infamous Pokemon, it's amazing. The Pokemon message boards and the people in the Pokemon community, wow, what a difference on the way they talk on the message boards compared to a lot of the aggressive sensitivity nature in the Magic message boards. The differences between the Reddits and the message board is amazing, the difference in categories. That's very fascinating for still talking about cardboard, but the culture is that backs a lot of these is very fascinating, everybody. I was very surprised to learn about how some of these weird subsets, and I know the market usually just focuses on, it's all about the base set. First edition Charizard, get the PSA 10s, it's all Pokemon World cares about. But it's really interesting when I started researching a little bit more before I made that particular acquisition of kind of how there is a lot of weird little booster box, little expansions of Pokemon from that early 2000s the early 2000s, mid 2000s, and late 90s. There's a lot of random little sets that are just flipping, mind-boggling tough to find. And first edition versions are even more insane to find. So besides this, I haven't been doing a lot of Pokemon position building or collecting, investing of sealed new Pokemon product. And this is the part of the video for those of you who are actually still watching this far. I feel like it was a big mistake. I feel like I made a huge mistake in that 2017 era when I was upset with Wizards and Pokemon. A lot of because, just to refresh a lot of you all memory, if you weren't into the LGS scene, you didn't own a Pokemon Magic store, in 2017, a lot of stores were crushed. A lot of stores were relying on the backbone of Magic the Gathering and, of course, Pokemon. And Pokemon started doing very erratic releases with the supply chain. You would have, Roaring Skies would get a reprint. The booster boxes went from $300 a box and completely collapsed to $70 a box. And they never came back. They flatlined. And I was excited originally in the reprint of Roaring Skies because I never had a single box of Roaring Skies when they were at 300. That was before I really started following that market closely. So after it was reprinted, I was very happy to actually buy a couple hundred boxes to sit on of Roaring Skies. Obviously, fast forward, that turned out to be a very poor, stupid investment. And as time went on, I spent probably 12 to 18 months. I sold some to the patrons, some to local kids in stores, but overall, most of the product I ended up just putting on eBay and selling one box at a time. Would maybe sell one box every 2 weeks, and I would lose literally probably 10% of my money on every sale. So if I was paying, I don't remember what I was paying, maybe $78 a booster box for Pokemon. I know Pokemon's a little bit more expensive than Magic. I'm sure it's still the same. But paying $78 a booster box for Pokemon, and then I would just sell on eBay for $79.99, and even then, they barely ever sold. And long story short, I'd lose maybe $10 after shipping and fees on every box. I reduced a lot of the positions. And eventually, I got frustrated. And I'm going to go into this a little bit more detail in the next Pokemon video. I'm going to show you guys my unhappy leftover Pokemon position that I threw all inside of a bathroom. And it's been there for 2.5 years, and I gave up and I walked away. So I'm actually going to go to that location in that particular bathroom. I'm pretty sure I know where it's located. And I'm going to film in that bathroom and show you guys all the Pokemon that's just piled up there. Yeah, I think that'll be a good next video. But the point of this video was to share with everybody the vintage Pokemon world, or I don't know what you guys call it in the Pokemon industry, but the WotC era, the old versions, I don't know, whatever you want. But I just call it the vintage, as I call it, like vintage Magic cards. The vintage Pokemon era a product is still a pretty impressive market. And even with the prices, like on the base set 2 boxes, I think I had 4 or 5 of these boxes, and I actually sold 1 or 2 of them because I actually had one on eBay, and then I think I ended up pulling it down because it was a local pickup many months ago, and I remember selling a base set 2. I think it was like $2,000, and now I just recently raised the price and put one on eBay, and it's like $3,000. And I think myself and like one other person are the only two. There's only 2 listings for like a base set 2, not even first edition, on eBay. And the pricing, I'm just very surprised that the Pokemon vintage market has been continuing to hold up very well. We're not seeing the crazy boom and bust that we saw from the Magic world from 2017 FOMO reserve list, but we're seeing a more healthy, continuous, slow moving. It's the silent but deadly thing. It's very slow and stable. And these old boxes continue to have a very strong market behind them, and I'm impressed by it. I'm genuinely impressed by it. And that's going to kind of be enough for me to talk about on that, but I think I'm going to have a lot of regret, and I should have stuck with Pokemon on carrying all the boxes and the sets and the release. I think the last time I really carried and ordered a new Pokemon set at pre-release and everything was probably the Ultra Prism. And I remember making a video saying, well, Pokemon just announced they have the new Ultra Prism set. I'm going to sell a few boxes, and they told me it's out of print at release. And everybody, again, just like Magic, started attacking me, making fun of me, saying, Rudy, you're an idiot. There were some issues with the printing. They're going to reprint it and everything. You're trying to spread lies, manipulate the market. Same old stuff we've heard for 4 years on Magic. And the funny thing was, it's 2 years later, and it was out of print. The information was accurate that I was given from the distributors. People weren't lying. And it remains out of print. And I don't think you can buy Pokemon Ultra Prism booster boxes for $80 or $90. I don't even know if you can get them for $95 or $100. I'd have to price check it, but I don't know how much growth the newer boxes can move up because of the higher print runs and changes, but it's been very fascinating to apply the same mindset that, just like Magic, the people who stayed the course and just waited patiently were rewarded. I mean, I had a picture of a patron sent me a picture, not of the patron, sorry, weird pausing. A patron sent me a picture where they, I don't know, I guess invested or collected like 100 boxes of like Breakpoint, 100 boxes of like Breakthrough. And during that time of all the garbage, they were paying, you know, $79.99 a box, $84.99 a box. And apparently, I guess all these boxes are over 100 now, and they've only held them for like 12 months. And, you know, and it's not even that old. I always say you need to give it 3 to 5 years at minimum. And I'm just really surprised that I should have taken my own advice and listened and stayed the course even on these other categories. It's amazing how many things you can apply this simple advice to, and it holds true if you have the stomach to stay the course when all the negative stuff is just slapping you across the face. You've got to literally shove your face through all that slimy mess. Is that a giggity? No giggities. We're being serious. You just have to stay the course. And the waves and the turbulence is just constantly trying to psychologically tell you you're stupid, it's a bad investment, you shouldn't collect it, you're wasting your money. The YouTubers manipulate the market. Rudy's lying, and it's all he's trying to move it to what he likes. And it's just funny because when you really push all that aside, the simplest, easiest thing to do was to just literally be patient. And I think that's a great life lesson for all of us. And I really learned something too, because I missed out on a ton of money, a ton. With the Aether Revolt and Magic the Gathering, you know, the new Phyrexia, and even in these Pokemon boxes. So that's all I have for this first Pokemon video today. I thought you all would really appreciate the discussion. That's all I have. And I'll make another one here, and you guys will see my Pokemon bathroom. It's kind of creepy, but seriously.